Welcome back. Another week of strangeness that has almost become our normal. On Thursday, this nation, indeed the whole world, should have been out celebrating, dancing in the streets as they did 75 years ago, as the Second World War finally came to an end. Instead, alone we individually recalled the sacrifices of so many. Lives shattered, dreams abandoned, rationing and privations endured, to beat back a relentless foe. 75 years later, we face another deadly foe, and now fear and lost lives steal away the celebration and the deserved recognition of that other age. Now we're embarking on the early transitional stage of whatever is to come. And as we look forward to that unknown journey, to that unknown normal, I envisage these times as a new pilgrimage on which we are about to venture. Each of us is on a journey through life, and we each have our individual goals and dreams, whether they be what we'll eat for supper, or the school we'll graduate from, or how we'll achieve world peace. Without dreams and ambitions, we can squander this precious life, and that would be a dreadful thing to waste. We all have the potential to do good, to serve others, to please God, to make the world a better place for our having passed this way. From the hymn, "Brother, Sister, Let Me Serve You," comes the following verse. We are pilgrims on a journey and companions on the road. We are here to help each other walk the mile and bear the load. Those of you who know me know that one of the great passions of my life is the Order of the Knights Templars, to which I belong. What drew me to the order was when I first heard the Grand Master, Rear Admiral James Carey, talk of how they were formed to protect the pilgrims who were traveling to the Holy Lands to worship where Jesus worshipped. These pilgrims were frequently attacked by bandits and marauding highwaymen who preyed on Christian pilgrims, who slaughtered them by the hundreds for their possessions. The Templars became the protectors of these travelers as they pursued their holy mission and traversed those alien roads, giving up comfortable lives in Europe to serve the Lord by protecting the weak on desert roads and barren lands. They saw themselves as being a military monastery on the move, constantly at prayer, their armor in the service of the pilgrim. Well, that inspired me. Just as saints inspire many, just as courageous leaders and writers and soldiers and poets and so many more inspire us with their works to lead better lives. The ultimate inspiration, of course, is Jesus, but Jesus was wholly God as well as wholly man, and that makes awfully big shoes to fill. Quite overwhelming for most of us when we contemplate trying to follow those footsteps. But one of the wonderful things about looking at the examples that others set is that their stories assure us that ordinary human beings can make a difference. Some have the words to inspire conversions. Some have the hands to heal. Others grow the crops, and others distribute that produce to fill the empty bellies of a hungry world. Some reach out to comfort, or tend, or protect. There's a role for everyone to play, big or small, and each piece is essential to the whole. No one is unimportant. Each of us is vital to the whole picture. It's like a giant jigsaw puzzle in which we each are a piece of the puzzle. The picture can never be complete without each of us filling in the space where we belong. That is God at work in the world. Think of it another way. We're God's sales representatives to the world. If we are selfish and lazy, we reflect poorly as God's rep. If we live a caring, loving life, we reflect God's message, and people respect such lives. We all are pilgrims on our journey, and the Holy Land that we are seeking is a heavenly one. Although I would certainly encourage everyone to visit those earthly lands. Let me relate a fanciful tale of the reality of a pilgrimage, whether to the Holy Land or through life. Once some disciples went to their master and told him that they wanted to go on a pilgrimage so they could improve their devotion. The master agreed, but asked a favor of them, that they take with them a bitter gourd to each site they visit, and place it on the altar of the saint or the deity, and ask for it to be blessed, and at the end of their pilgrimage to bring it back to him. Off they went, traveling from temple to church to shrine, and at each site sought blessings on their bitter gourd. Finally, they returned, and the master asked that they cook it and serve it to him. After the first bite, the master said, "Surprising! Even after the pilgrimage, the gourd is still bitter. How can that be?" Well, the disciples were puzzled, since that is the nature of a bitter gourd, to be bitter. And the master replied, "That's what I'm saying. Unless you change your nature, pilgrimages do not make any difference. If we don't change within ourselves, it doesn't make any difference the distance you travel or the blessings of the saints that you receive. You must be serious in your conversion to Christ and his teachings, or you will not change any more than the bitter gourd did." As we travel on our pilgrimage, we need to be on the lookout for opportunities to change for the better, but also alert to the dangers of an increasingly secular world that seeks to divert us from our goal, and wary of those who would destroy our faith. At the same time, we need to know who and how to serve. Not always the easiest of things to figure out. One of the great challenges is knowing how to help others. Sometimes one can become a crutch that cripples others by doing too much and making them dependent rather than independent. Other times we blindly or blithely ignore the needs of others that we could so easily fulfill. It's like the story of the fisherman who catches a fish and gives the person a meal. But if he teaches the other person how to fish, he feeds them for life. How we discern what is right is one of the challenges that obeying the injunction of love that Christ demands. But knowing that each of us is a pilgrim traveling on that road of life means that we don't need to travel alone. We are our brothers and sisters' keepers, just as they are ours. We share our resources, our meals, our time, our homes, and our hearts with our fellow pilgrims, and most of all, we share the love of God, the love of Jesus, the love of the Holy Spirit. For in that, we know our pilgrimage will safely end in the arms of that most holy of Trinities, the God all pilgrims seek to find and to serve. And speaking of serving, I hope each of you has found a special way to remember your mother this day. A phone call, wearing a carnation, engaging in a Zoom visit, delivering a special brunch, planting a tree, sending a card, or, well, what are you up to? This week, I got out a trophy my mother and father won lawn bowling in 1958, 1959, and 1960. A trophy of which they were particularly proud. Today I'm going to be polishing up and repainting the base and filling it with flowers to give her a special place in my home this Mother's Day. To each of you, may your heart be full this day with memories of fun times and dinners and hugs. Until next week, be safe as you travel forth on your own and very unique pilgrimage.